tell us about a time that you've had to endure an emotional pain, something that hit home for you, and how you got through that moment.
I guess I'll go first. Um, well, for me, it was my marriage. It was my husband. He had an addiction to drugs for 12 years, and during that marriage, unforgiveness, not knowing, had hardened my heart. We had a home. I purchased a home when I was young, 24, and during that time, we lost we lost the home. Um, we lost a car to this addiction of drugs for him, and not knowing that this unforgiveness brought anger. It brought resentment. Um, it brought mentally I was drained. Physically I was drained. But it wasn't until someone came to me, my sister, Lady Mitchell. She came to me and she recognized the signs of the bitterness and the anger. I didn't know I had it in my heart. She said, "You need to forgive him."
Wow.
And I said, "Forgive him? He's basically my life. I have a job, my children. He's basically destroyed my life."
Wow.
And she said, "No, you need to forgive him." I said, "Oh, okay." And I brushed it off, thinking, "Oh, yeah, I'll forgive him." And then I thought about, I said, "God, forgive him for all he has done?" And God said, "I need you to forgive him."
Wow.
And it wasn't until then that God began to move, because my faith, it was in bondage. It was a spiritual bondage on my faith. And it wasn't until then of me forgiving him, not asking questions about if he was right or wrong, what he did. I had to forgive what he did. And it wasn't until then God started moving in my life. Things started to change.
That's powerful.
Just like I was saying that it wasn't until then I saw the hand of God start moving. And 10 years, this year, it's been 10 years that he's been drug free.
Awesome. And so, how did you actually get past that moment? Because I know that it had to be hard of having him on drugs for all that long time, and you're in a marriage, and I know sometimes people can want to be free of that marriage. So it's like, what caused you to stay and continue to go through what people would say a vicious cycle, when people would have bailed out a long time ago? Like, why would you have gone through it for so many years when you see that it was still getting worse and it was getting worse?
I heard the voice of God say, "Be still and know that I am God."
Wow. Wow.
I wanted out, but it wasn't for me. It was for his glory. It was for God's glory. And he told me, he said, I wanted out. And I was praying, and I heard God clearly. He said, "Be still and know that I am God." I didn't know how he was going to do it. But he said, "Be still." And he moved in my life and showed me that he is real. He is real.
And so, not knowing that God is about to give you a breakthrough. You just know that everything is getting worse and it becomes chaotic in your life. And so when you say that God told you to be still and to know that he is God, so it's like how much longer after that before you actually saw the manifestation of what God was trying to give you, which is him being set free of drugs?
Actually, I think it was a few more years, and it did get worse. And it got to a point to where I said, God, either you remove me from the situation or you remove this situation from me. Because I was at a point to where I thought I was going to either lose my mind or lose my life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until then, and God said, it was Bishop Jones, Virgil Jones, in service one day. He said, if I never change the situation, if I never change the situation, will you still praise me? And it wasn't until then I said, because prayer, everybody was praying. But it wasn't until I started praising God for who he is. It wasn't until then I saw the hand of God really move.